This is a Lamar 40 feet deck with a 3-foot dovetail, and it is by far one of my favorite trailers. You can see there's a huge deck on this thing, really long trailer. 3 axles, which is kind of cool because with a 3-axle trailer, you know, if you have a flat tire and you don't have a spare, you have an extra axle. So let's say that tire goes flat, you just take it off, and the one on the other side, you just take it off. Now, if you're maxed out on this thing, which you'd be carrying a lot of weight because this one's like 22,000 pounds. But if you're maxed out on this thing, of course, you know, you'd want to air the other 2 tires up on each side and make it to the next exit or whatever you're trying to do and get a tire. But let me tell you, it has a lot of features to it, which I'm going to go over for you, okay? So just for instance, it has these, which is where I have a set of jacks I can put on the back, right? So if I'm picking up something really heavy, and it has the steel ramps, and by the way, they normally go in those 2 holes right there, but that's one of the things I don't like about the trailer. They're so heavy that when you put them in there, getting them in and out is just a pain in the butt. So, but with those jacks, you can put those on there with the steel ramps and load excavators and track skid steers and all sorts of tractors and heavy pickup trucks. I even had a bus on here one time, and with those jacks, it makes it so the trailer doesn't try to lift the front end at all. It does what it's supposed to do. So that's a very nice feature, is having the jacks. Now, of course, you have, you know, your pockets. And you can actually, I saw a guy that had one of these that actually built some wooden sides for it, was carrying something in there that he needed to keep stabilized. But as you can see how these work, your tie downs work like this, that's really cool. But with this being, you know, with this being the steel back here, and it has these steel on each side, and then it has the steel fenders, and these are reinforced. So you can drive over these fenders. That's really nice. And of course it has a wooden deck. You take care of it. This is a little dirty right now from where I had some tractors on here, but if you take care of the wooden deck, it's pretty good. You can mount, like I did, I mounted this winch up front here. And again, there's a lot of different designs in these. Okay, so a lot of these that you see, the center beams, the frame beams will run towards the middle. They'll be, you know, like right here in this area of the trailer deck, right? They'll run down there, but when they do that, you find that this piece, the gooseneck piece, is slimmer, right? So it's in here, but when you put them in like that, it tends to leave a lot less support on the outside of the trailer for a lot of heavy weight. With them outside like this, it doesn't have that problem, and they all have gussets like this, right? So they have a gusset that helps to keep everything together. And when you have it in the center, the gussets are closer together, and it prevents things from coming up in there. Right now, and that's one of the reasons having the winch so low, I've had pickup trucks on this thing before, and I can bring the pickup truck real close. Now, of course, I keep my chains up here just so I can get to them really quick, although it does have a really big toolbox right here. Locking tool storage right here. And it's really cool. You can put a lot of stuff in there, which that's where I keep most of my straps and other things in there. My jacks that go on the back are in here too. I'm going to show them to you now. We can open this. I can actually open it with one hand. But as you can see, keep some of my straps and stuff, battery for the winch, and then there's the jacks right there that go on the back. And the bar here, this is for the dual legs that it has. And I usually just hang some axle straps across here. And of course, something really interesting, try to get it on the camera here, it has grease fittings on these hinges, which makes them last a long time. And of course, you have your latch down here with your key and stuff. And then of course, above us here, you can make out, is the spare tire where it sits. And it actually, on a lot of these trailers, the spare tire sits on top of this, which for me, it's better that it's down low because I have a camera on the top of my truck there, so I can see over top of here and see most any cargo, especially if it's high cargo tractors and vehicles. I can see them from the inside of the truck. And of course, as I said, it has the dual landing gear on each side. And then here you can see the outside rails. And let me show you something. This rail, these frame rails, if you look at them, they're boxed all the way down. Now it makes for the heavy trailer. This trailer weighs in, I think it's around 6,400 pounds, but it's boxed. So, you know, you're always going to get a little movement, but it's nowhere near like the ones that have the center beams. And typically they're using an I-beam construction instead of a boxed beam construction down this one. And of course, it also gives you can see where the reflective tape is all the way down this one because it's further out. And then, of course, when we come back here to the wheels, with the frame structure being closer to the outside of the trailer, that means your axles, where the leaf springs connect, are further out towards the wheels, right? And with that being said, the weight is distributed to the outside of the axle rather than having a potential there to bend axle stubs and things, because of the weight being distributed towards the center part of the axle. So all in all, I've made some changes, of course. The original tag mount, for some crazy reason, is all the way up here. And of course that doesn't work when you're running down the road and the state trooper's behind you, pulls you over thinking there's no tag. And I know that from experience. So I moved the tag to the back and put the tag light back here. And it also, now it only has this two small lights, so I put a strip light all the way across the back so it illuminates better at night. With the two small lights, it's perfectly legal. But all in all, this Lamar trailer performs a lot better too, because with its lower deck to it, I can put taller vehicles on it, like when I had that bus on there, and I don't have to worry about any clearance issues or anything. And a lot of that has to do with wind drag, right? So if you get a big tall vehicle and it sits way up over the truck, you get a lot of wind drag, so it can cost you a lot of fuel mileage. So, but also with this lower deck, like I had like 6 pallets of concrete pallets, you know, bagged concrete. I had 6 pallets of that on here. I've had, you know, 6 or 7 pallets of grass on here and delivered it to different places. So you can use this for cargo and vehicles. Now, if you put cars on here, you can typically get 3 cars on it. But if it's a pickup truck that's on there, you're only going to get 2 more cars with it. I mean, get 1 more car with it, or you can get a couple of pickup trucks on there. So as far as making money in the vehicle transportation, you know, it does okay. Wrecks are really cool though. If you're going to pick up stuff from Copart or IAA, this thing is really cool because it's way easier for the forklifts, the on and off forklifts, to get them on there quickly. You set them down, you're strapping them down, you know, using your side rails, because a lot of times, you know, there's not 4 tires on them. There's 1 if you're lucky. And so if you're running a car trailer like this one, which is one that we have, it's in stock right now for lease. If you're running that, you know, you got to really pretty much put them over the tires. There are other ways to hook them up, and I've got videos on that. But this is so much easier to load cars on and off of than that. Especially if you're driving them on. You know, everybody knows when you're driving on these guys here, it's a little, you know, what I like to call a butt pucker when you're going up on those things, especially if you're backing them on. But if you've got this is nothing. This is it's like driving in a lane of the road. It's so wide, 8.5 feet. It's just so wide when you're driving it up on the back of there. So that's why this is my favorite of all the trailers I have. Thank you for watching.